Okay. I'm trying to see if my mother is actually here on screen.
Yeah, Granny's on screen.
Granny's on screen. So we want to say welcome, Granny. Welcome, Granny. And I have to tell you, I feel I could really go from beginning to end and just really welcome every single one of you. We do have to say welcome to everyone here. And Mummy, it's wonderful to have you here with us from Eretz Yisrael. And for any of our children, grandchildren, daughters-in-law, and everybody, you know that this is it. And I have right in front, and I want to say also to my Machatenosta. So, you know, so Ilana, when you see me, don't say that I forgot. Got you right with me. So thank you for being here. It's really, really an absolute pleasure. And we have got a lot to do in a very short time, and it's very exciting. But before I introduce you to someone who I have an incredible amount of, I don't know, more than covered. It's just, wow, how to be blessed to be able to work in a place together with Rabbi Grunfeld, Rabbi Herman, and our entire team. We are going to have Rabbi Grunfeld in a minute, but I just wanted to say that we have, in our community, we know besides the struggles of COVID, we have the struggles that we are all davening for refuahs and for Yeshuas. And someone who is very close to Seed and has been looking after Seed as really as somebody who you could go to ask any time of day or night for an Eitzah. Our Dayan Chanoch Erentrei should be Zoiche to Refuah Shalema. Rav Hadayan Chanoch ben Blimela should be Zoiche to Refuah Shalema. And I just want to say that we started this morning in Hong Kong, and I'm going to as well name Rav Yaakov Tzvi ben Lieber, Lord Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. And today, this morning, when we started in Hong Kong, what a wonderful way to see all the children, and especially in the school, because Rabbi Sachs has such a close connection with the school and within Hong Kong. They did and dedicated their challah to 400 children today in the zechus of his refuah. I'm also just going to add Rebbetzin Kruma Rochel Basha Basia, our dear Rebbetzin Altuski, should also continue with the refuah shalema. I did ask Rabbi Grunfeld where his apron was, and on that, I want to thank Miriam Martin and her amazing family for our beautiful aprons. And without further ado, Rabbi Grunfeld.
Thank you, and good evening to all you intrepid challah bakers. It's a huge honor and privilege for me to be able to introduce, on behalf of the Seed organization, the first ever around the world 24-hour live streamed challah bake. It's never happened anywhere else in the world. And it started this morning, as you heard from Rebbetzin Dav, at 5 a.m. in Hong Kong, and it's going to end 24 hours later at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. in Vancouver. An incredible idea. And this is all part of the exciting Shabbos project, which was conceived many years ago and executed so brilliantly by the chief rabbi of South Africa, Dr. Rabbi Warren Goldstein, whom we at Seed have partnered on many occasions with many different ideas. It's been a pleasure and an honor to partner with him, especially, for example, in Generation Sinai. I won't explain that now, it will take too long. You'll never get on your challah bake if I explain what it is. But we have partnered together with South Africa and with Rabbi Goldstein on many an occasion. And it's such a beautiful idea, the Shabbos project, the idea of cities and countries and thousands of people joining in and keeping Shabbos together is something quite fantastic. And I can say, as from England, from our point of view, In our organization, we have between 30 and 35 families who will be keeping Shabbos properly, the majority of which will be keeping Shabbos for the first time in their lives. That is absolutely fantastic. And here comes the beauty of this challah project. This challah project, although it's part of the worldwide Shabbos project, was baked here in England. The idea to do a 24-hour challah bake live stream all over the world came from none other than our indomitable Rebbetzin Joanne Dove. And when Rebbetzin Joanne Dove has an idea, you better take notice, because she carries out her ideas. And from the moment of conception until action stations comes with a blink of an eye, and you better be with her. And I'm telling you, I've been working with her for many, 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 many years. And I always say that when she comes into the office, when she blows into the office, I feel totally and utterly breathless. Her attitude to Klal Yisrael and her vitality and her energy, which she brings to the Seed organization, is truly magnificent. And so this is her idea, and I think it's the most wonderful way to bring in the Shabbos project. Tonight is Thursday night, and we're going to go through the whole of Shabbos together with the whole wide world. And the idea of baking challah together, just the concept of taking a piece of challah, and challah is the bread, and bread is the staple diet of the world. And you cannot live without bread. If you don't eat, if you have no food, you will die. And therefore, bread symbolizes the physicality of the person. And when you make a bracha and you take the challah and you take a bracha and you say Asher Kadishanu and you bless Hashem and you acknowledge that my food and my sustenance, my life comes from the Almighty, what can be better than fusing these two things, the physical and the spiritual, together? And that's the most wonderful way to come into Shabbos, because that is what Shabbos is all about, the physical and the spiritual fused into one. So here we go. This is the English section of the worldwide live streamed challah bake, which has been led and inspired by our own Rebbetzin Dove. I wish all of you happy baking. Have a wonderful hour. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Rabbi Grunfeld. I have to tell you that I was just thinking, is it actually worse being here in this little room, or much easier actually being in a place where everybody is and you feel it? But I just want to say from all of you that I just feel this beautiful energy. We're bringing it into our homes, we're bringing it into our rooms. And I nearly wanted to say one thing, because it really is going to be a woman's challah bake. But David, just make sure that you help mom with plaiting, okay? And if you don't, then you'll get somebody to bring the challahs tomorrow. We're going to get on with our dough, because we want to get on with all the things that we want to do, and we want to bring so much blessing. I simply cannot believe that we are right now where we are. But what do we want to do? We want to connect the women together. We want to make sure that each place that we go from is an accumulation of all the bracha and everything that we're bringing into our homes, to the Jewish world, and really to the world at large, because we all need it. We need it more than ever. Now is the time that we are going to shake the heavens. And I heard some fireworks going on outside, and through the day I've been saying, November the 5th, fireworks, okay. But the fireworks that we see there go up, and they go up in smoke, and all you see are the leftover bits. Our bracha, our tefillah, our davening, and what we are going to do over these 24 hours is going to change the world. We are going to make sure that those fireworks go all the way from here and straight up. And we're going to do that, all of us together, wherever we are. We're going to take our flour. For those of you, I know I've been getting messages through the day. If there's anybody that I have not answered, please, it's not because I didn't want to answer you. It was simply because I didn't manage to. But I'm going to say now, I've told people, prepare your dough before, do whatever you want, but we're going to be doing this together. So we're taking this beautiful flour. We're taking the flour which comes from the ground, and we are going to empty that into our bowl. We are going to be taking elements of the world that Hashem gifted us with, and we're going to be changing what it is from something from being the basics of life, which you cannot eat flour by itself. What we're going to put together with it is going to change that in being able to put that on our holy Shabbos tables. We have the ability to make choices and changes, and that's what our lives are about. So your flour is in Ein Kemach, Ein Torah. I'm going to take my cup of sugar. Everybody knows what sugar is. Sugar, if I probably had a teaspoon or two now, I'd need that after I've had enough caffeine today to get me through till tomorrow morning. So right now we're doing fine. I'll just show you because we decided we need a herbal tea as well, just to wash it down. So we're going to take the sugar. What is sugar? Sugar is the sweetness that all of us want to bring out of each other, our character traits, being kind, saying nice things. That's the sugar that we all want in our lives. So we're going to take the sugar and we're going to mix it into our flour. And then we're going to take the salt. And salt, and as I said, salt, if you don't have your salt measuring spoon, your tablespoon, don't worry, just put it into the palm of your hand and it works just as well. But I've prepared my salt because salt brings out the flavor in things. The right amount of salt will bring around the right amount of flavor. And as everybody has said today, throughout the day, if you ever leave your salt out of your challah once, you will not do it again because it tastes not less tasty, it just tastes awful. Each of us need to know how much salt to put in, how many boundaries to put around each of us personally and our home. We have a Torah that we live by. And the more we learn and live by it, the better we become and bring out the best in every single one of us. So to that, I always like to say to the salt, l'chaim, to always bringing out the best in a person. The same way we take wine and a person who has a little bit too much, it says nichnas yayin yetze sod. And when a person speaks words of Torah and kindly, that means that they've had enough salt in their lives to be that person in true reality of who they are. So l'chaim to each and every one of us. We have our flour, our sugar, and our salt. Now, we're going to mix it, okay? We're going to mix it all in because we're going to make a well in the middle of your bowl. And we're going to make the well, okay? And we don't want the salt to come into contact with the yeast because salt kills yeast, okay? Just as a little sideline. So whether you're making pizza dough or pita dough or anything, make sure that you never have your yeast and your salt together. We're going to take this yeast and I'm going to put the yeast into the bowl. You can use dry yeast as well, and you need 3 tablespoons of dry yeast or 60 grams of fresh yeast. I'm simply going to break it up and not mix it in yet, but I put it into the middle of the bowl. Okay, what does our yeast do? Got it? We're seeing everybody? Everybody able to see?
No.
Nobody seeing? Oh, I thought we had this absolutely sorted, and I'm just carrying on like you've got it sorted because we practiced before. And when we were practicing, it actually worked. So give us 1 minute. We're just going to get, yeah? Okay. Right. So what we're going to do, we say we've got the yeast. What does yeast do? Yeast helps our bread to rise. And this morning in Australia, I learned about how a small amount of yeast helps a large amount of flour to rise. And we understand because the yeast gives out gases that helps the bread to rise. But isn't it amazing? It's just a small amount of yeast to a large amount of flour. And Rebbitzin Lubo, I can't remember, I shouldn't actually say because I cannot remember exactly her name, but she said, look at the Jewish people. Look at the Jewish people. We are less than 0.25% of the entire world population. But what do we do to the world? The whole world actually thinks that if you had to ask how many Jews there are in the world, most people would say 50, if not more, because we rise, we make everything expansion. And expansion can be excellent for us as long as we are known and know what our guidelines and where we are. This is what we're about and who we are. I'm now, are we able to see it? Great. I'm now going to take my water, the Mayim Chaim, the living waters with which out we cannot survive and we cannot live. And we take the water from the ground and we mix it together with, we take the flour from the ground and we mix it together with the water that comes from the heavens. And we look at this and we're going to put it all together in a bowl with the sugar and the salt and the yeast. And the water is that which is going to help us bind the dough. So let's add our water over your yeast. We're going to add a little bit more sugar because that is what's going to help the yeast to grow. And I'm glad that I've got gloves on, but otherwise I would take a little plastic spoon and just knock a little bit of the flour to cover the yeast and the water, and that is going to help to prove the yeast, and we'll see soon the frothing of the yeast, and then we'll be ready to carry on and knead our dough. I want to get this dough quickly kneaded, so for those of you who have done it, and otherwise I like to use my hand as a paddle. Are we ready to show? Your hand. So one of the things that we nearly left out is the oil, and you know what oil does? How would we be able to anoint Mashiach without having oil? So we're going to take half a cup of oil, and as we're going to pour it in, we are going to all be praying that each and every one of us will merit, firstly, to greet Mashiach, but we will all anoint ourselves to become that daughter or son of the King that we really, really are. We need to check our egg to make sure that there are no blood spots. We're going to add the egg, and as we know, our egg is for continuation of our generations. Put your hand into the middle of the bowl, and we're going to mix from the middle out. We're going to be praying very hard throughout the mixing of our dough to make sure that we ask Hashem from the bottom of our hearts, and that our prayers should be totally heartfelt in understanding what it is that each of us needs as we need. Look for what you need to do and how much we can grow as people, and we can pray and ask Hashem to make sure that he sends the refuahs, he makes the well, anybody who needs a refuah, anybody that needs to find their marriage partner, their shidduch, anybody that needs to make sure that their parnasa, their livelihoods. We have to pray that for those who have not yet been blessed with children, that we are blessed. And let's make sure that we ask Hashem, that we make sure that we find within ourselves the ability to become the best me that I am able to be. So let's get some kneading and make sure that you mix in all your flour. And as I say, if you haven't yet been to the gym today, this is at least a little bit of a gym workout. Okay, so make sure that you get all the flour in, and let's go. And what a pleasure it always is to take words of inspiration just as we're about to separate our challah. Now, I hope that everybody got everything in, and I hope that you have your ball of dough, okay? Now, what you're going to do, if you have not yet, if you've prepared your challah has risen. This dough is still going to be able to rise, but luckily, I found a few minutes in the middle of the day to prepare another dough from before that I can separate challah, and we have enough dough here. So for anybody that is only using their one bag of challah, their flour, and you only have 1.5 kilos, you are going to be making, you're not going to make a bracha. You're simply going to separate some of your dough, and you're going to say, Harei zu challah. If we have enough dough, which I have 2 loads, 3 kilos of flour. On this dough, we're going to make a bracha. In your homes, let's hope that we have at least one other person who can listen to that bracha to answer amen. When we answer amen to a bracha, it's the energy that we have that connects us. But let us take our prayers. And if anybody wants to, before they say their blessing or just their Harei zu challah, remember to put some tzedakah in a box, because Hashem wants us to be givers. And we also make sure that we say the Shem mitzvah tzedakah, that we're doing this in the merit of tzedakah. This dough, which each and every one of us are going to be taking either a small amount without a bracha or with a blessing. Let us hope and pray that the blessing that we infuse into this is going to take us and transport us as people to real, clear expansion, and to make sure that we grow to become the best person that we ourselves are able to become. When we separate the dough, please have in mind anyone that you want to be praying for. And at this time, Rabbanit Mizrahi in a public forum would say, take your hand and put it on the head of the person next to you, so that the blessings can all be transported. In your home, you're able to do that if there is somebody with you. And if there is not somebody with you, I want you to close your eyes and feel that Sarah Imenu, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, but Sarah Imenu, the mother of the challah, who her challah stayed fresh from Shabbos to Shabbos, from Shabbat to Shabbat. Feel her hand on your shoulder. Feel the love and the warmth and the connection, because that is what we are all about. Close your eyes and pray for those who you love, and even those who you don't know, for all our prayers to be answered when we hear the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu, b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu, lahafrish challah min ha'isa, harei zu challah, in the merit of this mitzvah of hafrashas challah, that every single one of our prayers should be l'tovah, that Hashem should send leaders who are able to lead us, that Hashem should help every single one of us know that we're going to be in a place of good. And if we're not there yet, we're going to take the first step forward, and we're all moving to a beautiful, good place. from within. Our blessings should just be answered, and let this world be a better place. And if not for everyone else, at least for each and every one of us. Take your dough, make sure that you double wrap your dough, and we're going to dispose of it. Say thank you to each and every one of you. And before we leave, I just want to say, there's so many people that are missing out on their simchas, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and all the rest. But there are 2 young ladies that this week did have to change all their plans for their bat mitzvah. And I wanted to just say mazel tov to Michaela Schenkin and to Yakira Fine. And you should just grow to emulate our imahot, your beautiful mothers, and you have got the best role models, and we should just grow to bring lots of nachas to the Jewish people. Before we leave, and I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you. May all your brachas just be answered for all that is good, and our prayers and our tefillahs heard. And if there's anybody here, and I mean it, who has not yet made plans to do something special and extra for their Shabbat, or somebody has not yet got their food ready or something, please let me know. We want to make a difference to your Shabbos this week, and we want to make a difference to the world.